The views and opinions expressed on this show do not reflect that of the staff and management of WNOV and W293 CX 106.5 FM Courier Communications Milwaukee, but are the sole comments of the host and guest of this particular show.
The views and opinions expressed in this program do not reflect those of Wisconsin Voices. The views and opinions expressed by hosts and guests are their own, and their appearance on the program do not imply any endorsement or representation by Wisconsin Voices. Thank you for listening to Be a Voice with Wisconsin Voices.
Be a voice.
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 Visit WisconsinVoices.org.
Visit WisconsinVoices.org.
Visit WisconsinVoices.org
And learn more on how to be a voice with Wisconsin Voices. All right.
Yeah.
So, number one question we ask everybody that's running for office is the number one question. What does a county exec do? What is your job? What is your role?
Really great question. Because a lot of times people may not understand the different levels of government. So as the county executive, the simplest way of putting it is I'm like the chief executive officer of the county. So I'm like the mayor or the governor of the entire county. And counties, as it relates to the Wisconsin Constitution, is that we are extensions of the state. So we actually implement a lot of the state programs. So when you think about biggest things that we do that are non-mandated by the state is we're in charge of the parks, and we're also in charge of the Milwaukee County Transit System. But when you think about the mandates that we are there for, we're responsible for providing the supports for the courts. So when you think about when you're walking into the courthouse, who's responsible, who's walking in, who's doing a lot of that work, supporting our DAs, supporting our public defenders, supporting our judges is a lot of the county work. We're also responsible for the administration of child support. We are also responsible for the Milwaukee County Zoo. We're responsible for the Mitchell International Airport, as well as Timmerman Field out on Appleton Avenue. Again, all the parks, but that also includes like the Oak Leaf Trail, which we have hundreds of miles of. We have about 14 public-facing golf courses, anywhere between 6 holes to 18 holes all across Milwaukee County. But there's a lot that we do just as it relates to local municipalities as well as the state level. And I guess last but certainly not least, I represent about 19 different municipalities. And so I go as far south as like Oak Creek, South Milwaukee, Franklin, but represent northern communities as well, like the city of Milwaukee, Brown Deer, Fox Point, Bayside, River Hills.
Glendale.
And Glendale, yeah. So. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. I know we all know you.
For sure. Well, this is, being on WNOV is home for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I always want to make sure that I'm reintroducing myself. But, I'm a guy who was born and raised here in the city of Milwaukee. Grew up on 23rd and Burleigh, 53206, Burleigh Zoo.
Yeah.
And, went to Milwaukee Public Schools my whole life. Started off at our Avenue. For the folks who know about the Ely's, I had the Ely's early on in elementary school, and then went to Meck Middle School and Bayview High School. But I got involved doing community organizing. It was Urban Underground at a young age that really changed my life.
That seems to be a theme with a lot of the candidates that came in here, Urban Underground.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for what Reggie and Charlotte really instilled into me, but also helped bring out of me at an early age. I would not be sitting here today. And so, started off as a community organizer, which introduced me to politics. And so I got my first political start back in 2010, actually working for then United States Senator Russ Feingold and his campaign. Did some stuff with the Democratic Party, then went to go work for the Milwaukee County Board as a legislative aide for then at the time, Nakia Doss. She was just freshly elected at the county supervisor seat. And then she ended up becoming a state senator, worked for her then. And then I got bit by that bug to run myself. And that's how I got involved in politics.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
So I guess you're an incumbent, so we ask different questions of incumbents, but First of all, if you have a question, comment 414-444-5250. And we already have a comment. Go ahead. Caller, go ahead.
Hello.
Hold on, we gotta.
I'm here. I'm not coming to it. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome. One. Tyrone W. speaking to everyone. Good morning, Miss Tamika.
Good morning.
Thanks for taking my call. Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Mr. Executive.
How you doing?
Hey, God bless you and your family, man.
Thank you.
Guys all say hi to Nikita for me.
I will.
Haven't seen her around in a while. But excuse me, tell her to get out here and get some exercise like she used to, and just let people see that pretty smile that she flashes there.
Yes, sir.
But you're doing a wonderful job. I'm going to vote for you, but what I'd like to see moving forward, I'd like to see a little bit more cohesiveness. I know it's a big job, but do what you can where you are. But work with Chevy, and Chevy work with you too. I mean, just like a team. I mean, there's no I in team. Coach McGuire said there's no I in team. Yeah, I'm there, but I need to lift you up to make us all better.
Okay.
And we need to look at that. So yeah, I know and some people are difficult. Don't get me wrong. Some people are very difficult, but
Sure.
sometimes you gotta bite and grind the rind to get it done. And that goes for county what's the people over there? The older people?
The city?
County executive, county. The
County supervisor.
Supervisors.
The county people, the
County supervisors.
right, all of them, and everybody. I mean, and I know that I really appreciate what Chairman Spence. He cleared a lot this, and I mean, I'm going to vote for him again too, because he cleared the airways and he cleared the minds of a lot of people by saying, look here, I got to clean up 35 years of BS, just to implement what I need to do.
All right.
And I don't know if you're going that far back as far as 35 years, but I know you're doing the best you can where you are there. But I mean, for him to say that goes to show you what we're up against. We're up against a bigger monster here than just Trump and, those that think, because they're infiltrated in the system. We got to, like the way old Jaws said with the cigarette, you're going to need a bigger boat. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's most certainly where we are. We need a bigger boat and a bigger machete and everything else. But I'm proud of you. Get around here on 74 so I can shake hands with you, bump elbows with you. And, I'm looking forward to, chopping it up with you. But I'm going to vote for you. But let's go. Let's get it, man.
Well,
God bless you well.
I appreciate that, Tyrone. I would tell you that my administration, we're all about collaboration, right? And you can't get anything done without working with folks, who should be at the table and who haven't been at the table. And so I would tell you that when it comes down to me and the mayor, you probably have the best relationship that we have probably seen going back many years between a county executive and mayor, and not just here within Wisconsin, but quite frankly across the state. Luckily, me and the mayor, we actually went to high school together, and so we have a different level of relationship. But not just working with the mayor, I have to work with many mayors as well as county or city council or town boards as well. Working with the supervisors, working with the state. We need everybody. This is an all hands on deck approach that we have to take as it relates to moving our community forward. So I'm just letting you know that I take those comments to mind, and that's how we're going to continue to govern moving forward.
Okay, we have another caller.
Good morning to you all. Assalamu alaikum and Ramadan Mubarak, and thank you for taking my call. I have a question for county executive, and much success to you. I'll be voting for you.
Thank you.
You can count on it. But I just have a question about, I think it's called Earline Trail to Estabrook Park.
Yeah.
And there's there was a part, I think it's in Glendale, and then going towards the over the auto dealer place and the grocery store over there.
Mm-hmm.
And there's it has been in disrepair, and I'm wondering is that has it been fixed, or I haven't been over?
That's a great. I'm not sure. We've gotten had many conversations with the Beer Line Trail. I would tell you, one, there's some things happening with the Beer Line Trail that we have to first get through related to a lot of the construction right now.
Thank you.
That is happening, particularly around 43 that's happening, and so you're going to see a lot more happening. But I will tell you that you're speaking to a bigger and broader issue as it relates to how we have been funding many of the maintenance repairs that we have within the Parks Department. I will tell you that, since my administration won, we've actually added to the annual budget of our Parks Department at a tune of close to about $10 million. We have about 23 projects that was actually inserted in this particular budget that we're going to be focusing on moving forward. And so, as you all see, like the beer garden is coming on board. We talk more about golfing as they come on board. That's actually how we make money in our parks and how we're actually investing back into our Parks Department. And so I would tell you that we are making a commitment to actually make sure that we are focusing on these repairs. And not too long ago, we just recently announced about $500,000 that's particularly going to be going to Walker Square, Park and Walker Square, as well as Tiffin Tower, to make sure that our parks are maintained and that we continue to occupy them to make sure that they can be safe places moving forward.
Before we take another caller, I want to ask you, why did you want this job in the first place? Because I asked the new candidates why did they want this role, but you had the role for a year, and this is a re-election. But why did you want to do this in the first place?
That's a really good question. So it kind of goes back to when I first decided to run for office. My thing was that when you think about all levels of government, you could talk about city, county, then you got the state, and then you got the federal government. But the politics that deals with the everyday lives of everyday people is local government. And so when you're thinking about the potholes that everybody is dodging, when you think about the garbage that people want to get picked up, when you think about the buses running on time and making sure that our parks are beautiful, that's happening at the local level. And so for me, I look at myself as a community organizer that happens to be an elected official. And so with the type of impact that I want to be able to have on my community, on my neighbors, on the people who grew up in the same places as me, the best way to do that from my standpoint was doing it at the local level of government, because it's the tangibles. People see when, for example, the level of affordable housing investments that we've made, you can see that, right? When you think about what we're doing around the Marshall P. Cox Center and building a health and human service center dedicated to our most vulnerable citizens, that's something you can see. And so for me, local government is where we have the ability to make the biggest impact in people's lives, but it's also the level of government where you stay closest to the people, because the higher you move up, the further it feels like you're away from the people you represent.
One of the issues I have, and I'm going to tell you an issue that I have. I was at the airport and I was backing up, walking backwards, and I ran into this big size picture of you. And it scared me. And the thing is, it's so life size real. I thought you were actually standing there for like a hot second. You're everywhere over the airport, and people may not understand that also is part of the county's privy. I think we have one call, but when we take these calls, the last question I'm going to ask you is, what are the 3 things you are most proud of as a county exec? So I'm going to ask you to think about that. Okay. But then we're going to take another call. Caller, go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Hey, thank you for taking my call. Mr. Executive, hypothetically speaking, if something were in the cards where the mayor would not be able to perform, would you be able to step in? And if so, what would you implement, change, or continue on with?
Well, it's a very interesting question that you posed, because you said if the mayor doesn't, we have totally 2 different jurisdictions that we're actually in charge of. And so I'll give a prime example. And so when you think about the city of Milwaukee, they deal with more infrastructure that we do at the county. So when you think about city roads and the potholes, you think about those lights, street lights, you think about traffic lights, that's the city, right? They also have the department, a public health department that they may assist people with. At the county, we're more of the health and human service arm of government. And so when someone needs assistance related to substance use or mental health, you're calling on the county to get access to services. When someone it probably needs assistance in the transportation, if you're a person with disability or just need services in general as a person with disabilities, then you would be calling on Milwaukee County. And so we have different jurisdictions. And so it's not to, so if the city wants to do something, I can't just step over and say we're going to do it ourselves and vice versa, because we're charged with different things.
And the other,
correct.
And there's also a piece of this that every single entity has, like he just explained, that he is the executive director or the executive branch of the county government. His vice president or would be whoever the chair
correct
of the county supervisors is, and that goes the same with Milwaukee. That there's a mayor and whoever is the common council president would step in if either something happens. So it's they are always there to work collaboratively together, but there is also a chain of command.
So and one prime example is, for example, let's take CDBG dollars, right? And so the county has its own CDBG dollars, that is community development block grant dollars. What people may not know is that because we are county, we can't spend those dollars in the city of Milwaukee, or we can't spend those dollars in Wauwatosa or West Allis, simply because they have their own CDBG funding. And so if there's federal dollars that comes into our community, as the county, we just can't say, all right, we're going to spend this in the city, because there are already federal guidelines on how we can spend these dollars.
So we have one more caller, and then we're going to answer that question and then go to break. Caller, go ahead.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My question to you is how do the pandemic over now? Is the house correction, is it going to be hard to get into the house correction, to go out there to talk to the guys about crime?
We've already started changing all that. We've been changing a lot of that work actually within the past year. So one, when you think, so for example, visitation has come back since it was closed down under, who was that? Sheriff David Clark that closed it down. And so we allow visitations, and we don't even call it the House of Corrections anymore. We actually changed the name to the Community Reintegration Center. Yeah, and so so we changed the name from the House of Corrections to the Community Reintegration Center. And the reason why we did that is, one, when you think about the House of Correction, that's punitive. And we need to be changing the mindset that when people are coming into our care and coming into our facility, it is our job to make sure that we are really rehabilitating them and giving them the skills and the resources that they need before they actually come back into society. And so we have partnerships with like Marquette University. We have partnerships with the Milwaukee Area Technical College. And right now we're actually providing occupational training, skills training, particularly around welding, for both men and women who are within our program. We created the first FAM Center, was basically a family center where people could actually bring their children and come back and really interact with their children, because these are individuals who need that support system around them. And so when we look at the CRC, we're truly looking at it as a way to where we can actually help people become better before coming back into reentering society. So we want to pipeline people into job opportunities. We're going to give them the skills training. We're going to do everything that we can there. And yes, you can start working with many of the folks that we have there. I know folks like Mr. Terrence Ray has been coming into the CRC and actually providing like fatherhood trainings. And so we want to continue to promote that and continue to make those types of investments moving forward.
Well, thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, caller. So I actually have one other question I'm going to ask you, because we got it from a text. But we're going to finish up the interview process, and then I'm going to ask you something about your county exec part. But What's the 3 things that you are most proud of?
The 3 things that I'm most proud of. Well, first and foremost, for me, things that near and dear to me, affordable housing, right? We have the largest push of affordable housing, and not just happening right here within the city of Milwaukee, but in suburban neighborhoods across Milwaukee County. And we've been able to actually develop partnerships with about 5 suburban municipalities to create affordable housing. And we've seen that happening in places like Wauwatosa, West Allis. Not too long ago, we got the win in Whitefish Bay with some of the zoning changes. But also when you think about a Brown Deer as well. And I'm really proud of that. The other thing that I'm proud of is what we've been able to do with our ARPA funds just in general. One, having the lowest unsheltered homeless population. We were at the top for about 2 years, and we came down this year because we see that homelessness rates are on the rise. While we should be able to hang our hat on all the work that we have done, we know that our work is not done as it relates to homelessness. And so being able to have the mental health emergency center in the King Park neighborhood, where 70% of the people that we serve now have easier access, that's something to be proud of. We're building 100 brand new single family homes in the King Park neighborhood for first time home buyers, particularly Black and brown families in King Park, and building that Marsha P. Cox Center in that vicinity as well. So you could almost look at this as a health and human service campus. But we have the first bus rapid transit system in Wisconsin's history right here within Milwaukee County. And the work that we're doing around the opioid crisis and mental health is something that we should be proud of, but note that our work isn't done. But every day we're going to continue to move the needle, continue to build partnerships, to figure out how we can continue to also support small businesses, because that's another thing that we have done since my tenure. And so honestly, to name just 3 is kind of unfair because I feel like me a lot.
You didn't do 3, you did more than that. There was somebody who texted and asked quickly, because we have to talk about the referendum.
Yeah.
But Trump's upcoming visit, how does that kind of affect you and your county executive? This is not anything to do with partisan. It's just kind of.
Oh, listen, that would just be.
How does that affect our city, our county?
Let me just be real open and honest. The work that we have been able to do in Milwaukee County, there's no way we would have been able to do it without a President Joe Biden. And that's strictly because of the dollars that he's been able to send to local units of government. People forget that he actually started off as a county commissioner back at home. And so he understands what local governments can actually do and the impact that we can make. And so now we got Trump coming into office, who hasn't been here for almost 2 years and still wants to continue to gaslight Wisconsinites and tell them, 1, that he won the election, when we all know that that's a lie. And 2, literally, he's going around wanting to take credit for what he has done to women's rights in this country. And so he's literally telling people that, blame him on why women are second-class citizens that don't have the same rights to reproductive freedoms. Blame him on the reason why DEI is being gutted all across the state of Wisconsin and across this country. And so when we think about what he's coming to do, he's literally coming here to continue to gaslight us, because he wants us to forget what America was under his leadership. And so quite frankly, I'm going to continue to talk about the stark contrast, because I could tell you what it was like to be county executive under Donald Trump. And we didn't get the dollars that we needed when it came down to combating the pandemic. We got those dollars, and we got, the most freedom on how we can actually combat this pandemic under President Biden.
Catch Wisconsin Voices via Voice Radio every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday at 11 a.m. as we focus on community partnerships, voter education, and long-term collective impact for all Wisconsinites.
You're listening to Wisconsin Voices via Voice Radio. Follow us at BAWI Voice and learn more at wisconsinvoices.org. Wisconsin Voices 3 pillars: protecting democracy, teaching advocacy, building community.
We have some distinguished guests today to talk about this MPS referendum. First is the one of the board directors, MPS board directors, Daryl Jackson.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. And then we have the queen of WNOV Talk, Black Talk Radio, gives you all the information you need. And that would be Michelle O'Brien.
Good morning. Good morning. I don't know about that queen thing, but we will definitely say a team member over at the station. So thank you for having me join your show.
Hey, this is our show. We can call you what we want to call you. Queen.
Okay, I'll take that.
Yeah,
I'll
take a
take that.
compliment.
Thank
Take
you.
a
I
compliment.
appreciate
That just bothers you so much, girl.
Why did they argue?
What is she?
What they arguing about? So, one of the referendum questions for the city of Milwaukee is a referendum about putting more funds into MPS. We talked a little bit about this a couple of weeks ago, but I am going to kind of step back on my, of what we said and let's have a conversation about it. Real talk, conversation about it so the viewer or the listeners will understand what it actually means and what it actually is saying and how will it affect their bottom dollars. I guess that's what so we're going to start with Mr. Jackson, Director Jackson. First of all, talk about why does MPS need this and how will it fill the hole or the gaps that is needed?
Yeah, so I will not dismiss the need is definitely there. Okay, so starting off, I was the board member on the floor to initially just to say no to the referendum outright because of the information that wasn't provided. But do we need more money? Yes, we do need money. But the thing that I dislike most about it, once again, the transparency piece, considering in the past all the money we received, and yet we are, unfortunately, the enrollment is low and absenteeism is high. So how do we honestly go to taxpayers and ask them for more money when we're not producing in years past of what it once was? So to say more money right now, no, we'll probably need like a reset button right now. As a burning village, everything needs to fall and just build back up.
Is that what you're saying some of this money may do is to do a reset, maybe, possibly?
Possibly, so we talk about vacancies, dealing with teacher vacancy rates. But once again, if we right size the district as we should, that greater need that I think right now we got a $50 million vacancy. That's what it is, 259 teacher vacancy rate. So which leaves a $50 million pool of money funds by not having the teachers there available. But if we right size the district, meaning, unfortunately, there are 21 schools right now that are, operating under capacity, 21 different schools. So we need to talk about those mergers. I'm not saying closures, but mergers where MPS still own the building and lease it. But nonetheless, we need to talk about those mergers and really address the issues, especially on our side of town, on the north side of town, because those are the areas and the communities who will be impacted the most with this referendum. Whether it passes or not, the impact will be greatly, we will be greatly affected by that referendum. And I hate that they were putting it on the students' backs of saying, if we don't do this, the students are not going to receive this. Like, I'm tired of pulling at taxpayers' heartstrings and dealing with our youth, because the first thing anybody would say is, yeah, let's do it, but not understanding the ramifications behind it. In addition to, a lot of elderly people, they have fixed incomes. Like, let's address and talk about the real issues at hand. The different community outreach service that MPS does provide, but to what degree, to what level? So those type of, that information needs to be more open and readily available.
So it looks like, first of all, Wisconsin Voices could take any of those buildings you would like to donate, but I'm just putting it out there. But what it is, it seems to me that you are a director that knows that the money needs to be, you need the money.
Yes.
But you have also issues as a resident
Absolutely.
of the city of Milwaukee.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's a business first. Now, when we have these discussions, people don't want to say this education. No, it's a business first, because that's what started the education system. Money, that's the bottom line. So for me, you need to know where it's coming and going.
One of the things that I do, and I will push in here, is that the school systems as a whole in the state of Wisconsin are underfunded by the state. Their rates have not been changed since who knows when. Michelle, We want to get you in here a little bit, and then we're going to take a call. How do you feel about this referendum?
One of the things I've been saying to listeners to the show that I do is that people have to vote in their own best interest, but I think you have to be as informed as possible. I have not publicly weighed in on the referendum. While I think if you listen to me though closely enough, you can kind of pick up where I tend to lean on this whole thing. But when you start talking about a district that in 2004 had almost 100,000 students, and now we have roughly about 68,000, 67 and some change, so that's a 31% reduction in enrollment. And while folks continue to say that, the expenditures for educating these children are more and more and more, you can't ignore the fact that during COVID, $800 million came into the district. You had asked for $86 million in 2020. You have tripled what you're asking for with this $252 million. And then you trot out the fact that, we're going to have arts programs and music programs and da-da-da-da. We couldn't get none of that with the $800 million. I mean, so you don't get the level of transparency that I think is required for people to best make these decisions. I mean, to make the best decision. And then to the point that Director Jackson, is it Jackson?
Yes.
Yeah, Director Jackson said, I was about to say Johnson, that's why I got messed up. But Director Jackson said is that, while we're selling this is about what happens to the children, there are other factors to consider. We do have, Milwaukee is one of the poorest areas in the country for Black folks, for housing, but those expenditures will be passed on to renters.
Yes.
So many of these children's families will see higher rents. And we already have, and there was a study done that talked about the rent gap in Milwaukee and how a number of people were usually $100 to $200 short of being able to pay their rent every month. And so these very families that on one hand, we helping, do X, Y, and Z purportedly in school, but your family of that child is getting ready to be impacted in terms of, monthly expenses now in terms of a rent increase at some point. Seniors, those grandmothers, a lot of our children live with their grandparents. Those grandparents have fixed incomes, to Director Jackson's point. Those people are going to be impacted. So the neat way that they package this, that on average, it's about $200 on a property tax owner. How you per
100,000.
Right. How do you fail to mention renters? How do you fail to mention people that are multiple property owners or folks that this is not a one and done? You're not going to hit me on one year of my property taxes. This is multiple years. This is now becoming a fixed situation. And so over time, it's $800 on that, that $200 or $1,600. So, so the way we package it up neatly and put this out there now on the same token, the group that is against it, I love how, they're using this Black woman. I just got a mailer in the mail this weekend. When we got home, there was a Black woman, I'm like, who is this woman? No name. Like, this is parent Melissa Sue, with the daughter Kiwana at Parkman or whatever school. Just a nondescript Black woman talking about this is too high. Even on the ads that are run on this radio station, they use a Black woman's voice. This is too much. But that's a white group that's behind her. That's a business-oriented group. So I don't like those tricks and tactics either. That you're pitting us against each other. Yes. And some of the people, some of the main naysayers on the tax increase are white business leaders who are trying to protect, people that move into the community, people that work here, the Northwestern Mutuals, all these different folks, they're trying to protect these people. So, but you use this Black face. I don't know if this woman is a parent of an MPS student. I don't know if you're a property owner in this town. They say nothing about her. I flipped it over on both sides. Like, who is this Black woman on this piece of lit? So, just understanding that people are trying to play on us on either side of this discussion. And I don't like that.
We have a caller.
Hello?
Caller, go ahead.
This is the Reverend Dr. Andrew Ward.
Hello, Reverend Doctor.
I want to say on behalf of the Empress is not Queen, Michelle Biden.
And Empress. Sorry.
Earlier, fella Crowley, who was on earlier, and this Jackson dude, I just met him. I just heard from him, and he's a doctor too. He's a doctor too, and you become a doctor by doing stuff, and other doctors recognize you were doing some things, and that's an honorary doctor.
Gotcha.
And when I call you doctor, I just dropped an honorarium on you.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
I believe in education. I've been an educator for 60 years on all levels, college, elementary, and university, and all of that. Crowley said, county executive said something about education and correct county prison system. That needs to be done, and the MPS from experience, they don't have enough STEM teachers who teach the critical subjects that will enable anybody, a student, to become anything after he leaves school. He's done with school. They need to, and I know Michelle knows that, they need to get computerize theater teachers for these subjects with a good monitor in there with them, be a student, teacher, anybody, and they should be learning with the kids. If you don't know it, you can learn on the job and get paid. And there's a whole lot of restrictions on the budget for MPS. They own all these buildings. I just heard this on this station. They have these buildings that the city owns and controls, but the MPS has it from their budget, maintain these buildings. They can't be sold. They haven't been sold. And this goes out to the whole government. We have all these houses and buildings. Northridge was a fine example. Sitting around, not owned by the local. We're not getting any money. We're paying for them. We need to do something with them. Quickly rehab them or tear them down. And if they need some pro bono advice, you're talking to them. Y'all have a good one.
Well, thank you. We're gonna have one more caller and then we're gonna go to break. Caller, go ahead.
Good afternoon. Probably got out of there already.
Yes.
Yeah, I was, because he made statements about, some things, and I had to address that because he just made a statement about diverse, DEI, and I want you to understand something, that DEI at its face value would be a great thing, especially for Black people. And they use us to get behind that, but we're no longer the recipients of that. There are other groups. And then when I hear about this deal about the school board, what about the people that own commercial buildings? I mean, you think your little taxes go up on a commercial deal for the school board? They be getting like $500, $600, $1,000 on that when they raise that on a commercial piece. The residential is something, but what about the doggone commercial piece, man? That hurts people. That's why you got so many buildings right now that's vacant, because it's simply the city wants to tax people out of it. And this school deal. Now the other two that are on there, memorandum that's on there. How do you feel? What are you going to vote for those? Are you going to vote yes or no for those?
Well, right now we are. That's what we're discussing, and when we discuss these, we are trying to give people information so they can make a rational decision about how they are going to vote.
Right. We're not telling you how to vote. We're just giving you
information.
The information to help you.
Does that make any sense about the commercial pieces of real estate?
No, you have a valid point. There is a huge valid point on that, because it's not just, and the only reason we kind of focus, for me, I should say, focus on the homeowners is because people buy their homes as an investment. Most of them do it as a way to have money for their retirement, some place to live in their their latter years or as they get older, and they are on a fixed income. And every time we do this, every time we have some kind of tax increase, that kind of blows up their budgets. Those are, I guess we're trying to focus on the least of these and who would it impact the most. And that is, and I understand that
as well.
but I understand that, but
we buy those things for investments as well.
and I understand that. It's just that as we're going, and you may be on a fixed income as a business owner, but as we're going, we started off with the everyday Joe, and then you've made the point that this also affects commercial and business, small business owners as well. So this is something that does affect the whole community as a whole.
Those other two that are on there, are you going to address those, or are you not going to even address those today? Yes.
We're just talking about the.
Why not? Why you don't want to address them? You know why you don't want to address them?
Wait, let me get clarification on your question. Are you talking about the MPS referendums? That's the ones you're talking about, and if our guests are going to.
No, we already addressed that one, but there's two other ones on there. About it.
Which is the state referendums?
Correct.
We talked about those last week, but
okay, all right. I'm late, Dan. I'm late.
Okay. All right.
Just real quick. So being a realtor, and in addition, so I didn't get my history. So when we talk about commercial is more than just the tax piece of it all. So we understand the impact. The impact is greater with the real estate industry as a whole. But right now, who it immediately affects, we have people with more homeowners than there are business owners that own these big, large commercial spaces. So that's the people that we're talking to right now, immediately, right now. In addition to, if we're talking about home ownership, it also pushes the goalposts even further for our people to become homeowners. So we constantly keep moving this, but we know what it does when we are homeowners. It gives us stability. It gives our children reassurance. Children who are raised in a home are more likely to succeed in so many spaces, and these are different studies. So we're talking about home ownership the most, in addition to just the renter. So commercial, yes, but by and large, there are more of us who are looking to own a home than we are looking to own a big, huge commercial building.
Please join Wisconsin Voices every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. We will be focusing on community partnerships, voter education, and long-term collective impact for all Wisconsinites.
You're listening to Wisconsin Voices Be a Voice Radio. Follow us at BAWI Voice and learn more at wisconsinvoices.org.
The three pillars of Wisconsin Voices are protecting democracy, teaching advocacy, and building community. Learn more about Wisconsin Voices and our partners at wisconsinvoices.org. Stay up to date on our community events page and get involved by visiting our donation page.
Go ahead, caller.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
We have a vote yes sign in our yard, and my question is directed at Director Jackson. You mentioned, or someone mentioned, how the vacancy or the student enrollment was at 100,000. Now it's at 68,000. And maybe we should look at right sizing some of the schools. My question is, why wouldn't we want to vote yes to make our city more attractive, to make parents want to enroll their children in MPS versus some of the choice in Chapter 220 schools? What is wrong with increasing that tax so that we can be in comparison with the Brookfields and the Pewaukees and the Glendales, so that, again, the whole goal is to bring more students back to MPS and have those activities available for them?
Nothing is wrong with it. And that's the thing about it too. I'm not against the very system that I'm also a part of. Let's make that clear. But to ask for this amount of money when the numbers do not reflect the need of it, it makes no sense. But once again, even with the students, we talk about the arts taking, the music taking, those type of programs will still exist, but in a different form.
once again, we're pulling on the heartstrings of so many people and talking about the students. And if you ask the students, how have they received the funds from the previous referendum, they will tell you we haven't. So we had, listen, you asked me a question. So we also had the Student Advisory Council at the board meetings, and they were able to talk about the needs of what their needs were and what was going on and what didn't happen. And one very, very young man clearly stated, we did not receive any of it. So now we're asking taxpayers for $252 million when the numbers just don't align from where they once were in years past. From 100,000 enrolled to now 68,000 enrolled. So we talk about enrolled, but how many students now also show up every single day? So we got to keep following the numbers. No, I want our systems to be attractive to retain teachers as well as students, but we have to be more competitive. We have to think more smarter and be more strategic, because a lot of our ways is so antiquated of how we're moving.
I agree to a point, but these taxpayers that you mentioned,
yes, ma'am.
Will they even vote? Are they even at the school board meeting? So it's like we're making this fight on behalf of these invisible people that don't even participate in this MPS system.
I'm not about to dismiss those that say invisible, because there's a lot of factors why people are able to and not able to show up for various meetings. Those who have the money and those who don't. If I'm being completely honest, it's about maybe 2 people that show up at every board meeting, regardless of income bracket. But once again, those are people that I speak up for, those who are marginalized and who oftentimes get overlooked for various reasons.
I guess as a system, instead of having the focus on what can we do to attract these 30,000 plus students that disappeared out of the MPS system due to various reasons, we shouldn't be so quick to say, vote no for a tax. If the county or the city assessed fees for us for whatever reason, we would have no choice but to pay that. There's no option to not pay. So why are we taking us away from our students, taking us away from the caliber of teachers that we're trying to attract to MPS? I just don't get it. So it wasn't meant to be combative.
No problem.
No. And we like free flowing ideas, but
Can I ask a question? Because I'm about the layman's person in the room. So as a layman, are we saying that nephew Johnny is asking for some money to get something done, and you just gave him some money last month, and he asking for the same money to get the same thing done, and you're like, well, what happened to the last bridge you had, and why didn't it get done yet? With less.
So and you're not even asking for that, because the last referendum was 87 million. This one is 252 million. And the reality is, and many MPS officials know this behind the scenes, that they need to come back again. They would need to come back again in 3 years to ask for additional money. So for the homeowner who says, I'm fine with doing it, I just did it 3 years ago, and I'm willing to triple what I gave them 3 years ago on top of the 800 million that came in because of COVID, even though some of that money was earmarked for certain things, but not all of it. And then potentially you could be looking at this again in 3 years, because they know, just like we talk about the city budget financial crisis, we are still going to be in a crisis situation. So that's one thing. But the other thing, to think about is when we say people don't show up, but you're still taking their money. Whether I show up or not, you still asking me to pay for this. And so somebody has to be willing to at least put the cards on the table and help people understand exactly what the ask is. That's all I'm here to do, is to make sure people understand what the ask is. And the fight needs to be taken to the state, because it's the state that has put the school district in this situation in the first place.
And this is one of the things that I was dying to point in there. When we talk in our Civics 101 presentation, we talk about how it trickles down from federal to state to local and how everything is funded. And one of the things is the money comes in from the state. They have not raised their levy limits for that since 2009, I think it was.
But I mean, not even just about what, just in terms of keeping up with inflation, but the fact that money was actually taken from the budget.
Yes.
Over, what was it, like almost $100 million, $754 million under the Walker administration was stripped out of K-12 education. And only when Scott Walker ran for president did we begin to see some of those dollars come back, but clearly not at the rate that they needed to.
Or at the rate they were taken away from.
Yeah, so people got to clearly understand. Then we always had what was considered to be a funding flaw in relationship to public education. Milwaukee got the short end of the stick in terms of education funding for public schools. Senator Taylor and a number of Milwaukee area legislators, they beat that drum every day about you need to fix this funding flaw because we were being put behind the 8 ball just, at the very basic level of funding.
All right, thank you. This is Be a Voice with Wisconsin Voices. We'll see you tomorrow.
And opinions expressed on this show do not reflect that of the staff and management of WNOV and W293 CX 106.5 FM Courier Communications Milwaukee, but are the sole comments of the host and guest of this particular show.
The views and opinions expressed in this program do not reflect those of Wisconsin Voices. The views and opinions expressed by hosts and guests are their own, and their appearance on the program do not imply any endorsement or representation by Wisconsin Voices. Thank you for listening to Be a Voice with Wisconsin Voices.
Be a voice.
Be a voice. Be a voice. Be a voice.
Be a voice.
Be a voice.
Be a voice.
Visit WisconsinVoices.org. Visit WisconsinVoices.org.
Visit WisconsinVoices.org
and learn more on how to be a voice with Wisconsin Voice.